So firstly, Mark, how's this week been for you in Marbella, and what are the learnings from it?
Well, this is our second time in Marbella. And I felt that last year it gave us a kind of real edge going into the season. But I felt that we could, you connect, you spend time together. And what I've loved this camp, this time is that we've embedded new people in. We've got people returning from the Euros. I find it's a fantastic moment to kind of bring them together. This camp was clear it was about relationship building. And not that we haven't got those relationships, but it's reminders of what we want as a team and the standards that we hold ourselves to. So I think we've achieved those targets. We're going to finish on a little bit of fun today. We're also hard work, and I think the attitude of the players has been incredible, and the staff have worked incredibly hard as well.
Obviously, you mentioned the Euros there. We spoke to Maya earlier in the week about how great it was for her and obviously the other two as well to be part of that Lionesses team in the summer and winning. And obviously, you presented her, Ella, and Grace with commemorative plates as well. What a significant achievement for them, but also what will that'll add something to it, won't it, in terms of the European experience and playing on that big stage, which we'll need this season.
Yeah, I think what we've done well over the last few years as a team, as a club, is that we've exposed our players to big experiences. We've took some losses in those, but obviously we've took a fantastic win in the FA Cup, and we've pushed to Champions League on a couple of occasions. So I think we need that. And then when you get, Ella's won it twice now, and obviously Grace and Maya's their first time, but that experience, when you look at the resilience England showed in that tournament, it was just an incredible way to win a tournament. I think they were only leading for something like 4 minutes in the knockout stage, but still found a way to win. And I think that shows a dedication to what we need here as well, because we start the season and we won't have had the biggest budget, we won't have spent the most money, but when you have this belief and this inner belief that carries from winning, from those successes, and they bring it back into our environment, I think it's just an extra shot in the arm for when we need it, because it's the experience. I've always said this. I said this. You can go back to my interviews many times. It was the experiences of those getting to those finals, taking some losses, but then taking the win as well, and to push you on. And that's what we need. So those experiences are going to be vital as we go throughout the season.
So we played Real Betis last night in a friendly. We won by 8 goals to 0. There was a couple of great individual goals, great team goals as well. But what can you take from that game aside from obviously the scoreline? Because there's always lots of things to take, isn't there?
Yeah, of course there are. And if I looked at yesterday, it was purely the relationships. Purely the relationship. Look, the better the relationships are with the players in terms of, look, we all know a pattern. We all know, if you watch coaching, any analyst can divulge that if you do this triangle rotation here, you get in. Of course, but it's the detail. It's knowing when the opponent moves a slight yard that I know how to adjust, and that you adjust together. And I think that's what we've been trying to build this pre-season is going to be key for me. I've spoken about intensity with the group. If you're looking at it as an identity as a club, it's intensity. It's who we are. It's that energy, that commitment. Our fans give that commitment, they give that energy, so we need to give that back, and we always have done. But I want us to focus on that going into the next season. So I think this camp's been able to do that. The game yesterday, although the opponent, weren't particularly the best on the day, because they're in pre-season too, we made sure that we utilised those relationship building, and I think we got a lot of the good outcomes I wanted.
So how hard have the training sessions been then for the girls, and starting to prep them? Obviously, we've got a friendly against Liverpool still to come to wrap up pre-season, but especially for those big UEFA Women's Champions League games coming up. Obviously, we've had quite intense weather this time around. Obviously, maybe a little bit different to last year with a bit of rain. How have those sessions been kind of made to prepare for the season ahead?
Pain. You have to work hard, and the reality is, if you don't go through the struggle of this and you find that too difficult, you're not going to be successful in the season. So it was more about testing them, not only physically, because we have a great program that we run them through. I think last year we had the best availability in the league, so we know physically we prepare our players. But it's more about the mental toughness, the mental edge. As we close in, we go Liverpool next, and then we play PSV. So we're not far away. So even yesterday we didn't call it a friendly; it was a test. And so we played a test yesterday, and I was happy with the way the players had approached that. And no, we're ramped up to now PSV. Like when we play Liverpool, it's like we're playing PSV in that first game. So we'll be giving our absolute everything. I think the physics, it's just, you know, running's running. But I think if you can go to that darker level where you're going to need in games to be successful, I think we've got that from this camp, and something we obviously plan to do.
Yeah, so as always with pre-season, you mentioned it before, it's always about getting the squad together and not just to train, but also to be with each other all the time for a really short period in this week. How much does that quality time spent together mean for the players?
I mean, it's huge. I think when I look at the players last year, and we had a lot of young players coming through, and it always takes them a season or two to get better and to understand what it is to play in England. Like it's probably the strongest league in the world, in my opinion. And so this time together just embeds, the youngsters learn from the more senior players. You know, we've brought Ziggy in. Friedlina's not yet in with us, but obviously we get to train with her next week. But bringing that senior, the transfer policy this year was to add the right quality with the right experience to add to our wonderful youth players that we've got. But it's vital moments like this, because it's not just you only connect on the field when you connect off the field. And that's the key message we've been driving home with the players. Like, even before the game yesterday, I made sure that they all sat together and just had a conversation about what they want from each other in their specific positions. So it's incredibly vital for us to get that connection, and this is a wonderful camp to be able to do so.
So obviously you mentioned Ziggy there, and just a quick mention on the new signings. Obviously we've had a fresh face in the team in the camp this week with Yulia Ziotti. How has she settled into the group, and what have you seen from her so far?
Seamlessly. And look, we had and we do have a fantastic midfield, but I think it's about balance and quality and putting them together that helps the others shine. You know, in Tooney and Grace, you know, we've had fantastic 10s. Simi and Lisa more 8, and then, you know, Hinny was the sole 6 with Dom. And, you know, with the balance of what we're trying to create, we needed something else in there, and Ziggy adds all of that. She has a little bit of everything. Her ingredients for her quality are incredible. So that was the whole reason to give support and structure to everybody else to be able to balance as well, because the team did a fantastic job last year, but I just think it needed something else. And obviously for Elena to add in the quality that she has, the experience that she has into this squad, it is vital, because if we're aiming to go to Champions League and progress, then, you know, we need to have that depth and that quality and depth. It's not just about numbers, it's about having the quality that can unlock games that are, you know, if you're playing a Champions League game and then you come to a hard game on the weekend, which most of them are, then you've got to be able to take the game as well without looking back. So those are the reasons we've added in the quality so far.
I'll say just a couple more questions. So just on, obviously, Friedelina Rolfo that we announced on Friday, obviously 4 league titles in Spain, 2 Champions League titles in Spain as well, and obviously runner-up last season as well. So obviously you'd always look at a player's ability and their personality when recruiting players, but as you've just said, what does that kind of experience give the team?
When we spoke to Friedelina, it was instant for me. I make decisions pretty quickly. When I spoke to her, it was an easy conversation. It was an adult conversation. It was experience. It was reassurance in who she was as a person. Because we don't forget, footballers are people, and underneath that, she exudes this confidence, and I think she'll just spread that through the team and through the players around her. And look, we're looking for players like Ziggy to come in and Friedelina to come and help lead, not just to be part of it, to help lead. So she'll be vital for what we're trying to build. And, you know, as we start to get her used to this, you know, she's played in so many different styles around. She's played for Sweden, obviously Barcelona, Wolfsburg before that. So she's played in different leagues. So she has that kind of experience as well that's needed, helps you in Europe. So that's the plan, and that's why we've signed her. And, you know, I think it's an incredible sign of the club. I'm looking forward to working with her.
And just finally then, what are the key messages, and what's the ethos that you've tried to set out for the season ahead? Obviously we ended last season, despite obviously the FA Cup final, on a real high with that World Sevens tournament, and you know, your message when you spoke to us was just as much about enjoyment as it was actually performing at the level. Is that going to be the same again in terms of taking that pressure on but also enjoying it as well?
Certainly. So there are key messages that have come out. So the intensity is key for us. Like if you're not going to run and hit and tackle and dribble and drive and pass with the intensity needed at Manchester United, you're not going to beat Manchester United. That's how we have to. You've got to be all in for the team, all in for the fans, all in for the club. And if you're not that, then you don't deserve to be at Manchester United. And I think we have the right group that are that. And I think that's a key message. So we've talked about that as a group, that intensity, but also fierce fun. You know, you've got to. There's pressures in games, there's pressures in seasons, there's pressures on everyone. But if you forget to have fun, you forget to play. And I'm going to remind myself, not only my players but myself, that throughout the season we should be looking to have that fun, but also win and play, so our fans get excited about who we are as an identity. You know, we've always connected with our fans, but I want to take it to a deeper level this year and really show the people who we're playing for. And if we can do that, you know, we can have an incredible season. And that's the aim. Look, there's going to be highs, lows. Of course there is. It's not it's the hardest league in the world. But if we are prepared and we have that fierce fun with that intensity, I think that we can have a special season.